The LiUNA Betting Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up today using promo code SGPN and then go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/dog to enter our bonus contest. 5 winners will receive shirts, hats, and a $50 SGPN gift card. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app and use the promo code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month and start making smarter bets today.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome into another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. Today we break down the Xfinity as we march ever so closer to a race weekend in Las Vegas. Chat's already blowing up. Oh my God. I love it when the first thing we see when we log on to our YouTube is people just having some fun conversations, and it's always a blast. Walter right there first saying, good evening, gents, or good evening, guys. Looking forward to a great show. Thank you. But this is the one that was making Cody laugh. Chris in the chat, SVG. Give it up, Zeeb. Don't be scared.
All right. Yep. Take Jesus to win. Yeah. Have a good night. We'll see you later.
Gotta love it. You know what? I've looked at our cards.
Yeah, I was gonna say I hadn't looked at your card yet, but do we have any SVGs on our cards this week?
I figured that I didn't want to argue with you this early in the afternoon.
I think he's gonna be fine on this type of track. I think I underestimated him a little bit on the super speedways. He did great. I think he'll be 10th to 15th this week, and that's probably the range we're gonna see him in a lot of weeks. I don't know that there's really much of a way to bet on him. I didn't see him in any head-to-heads or anything. We don't get top 5s or top 10s in Xfinity, so meh.
Yeah. Well, and look, Chris, no props for Atlanta.
Yes. Yeah, he did great.
You got props.
He didn't run out of gas, so great.
Hey,
but hey,
there's a lot of guys that were regulars that did.
Yeah, and it's a super speedway, so you got to survive and be there at the end. So full props to SVG for what he got third, right? So hey, it's great to see. And yeah, I have a lot of faith and hope for him to have a great future. I just, at times he's been pumped up a little too much. So I was trying to bring the temp in the room back down, but he's fine. I love him. I hope to see good success. Obviously, Trackhouse kind of firing on all cylinders right now too. So good for them.
Yeah, team you can't really ignore at this point, especially in the Xfinity world. After 2 races, Joe's epilogue saying, "Does AJ stand for Apple Jacks?" It may stand for a little more than that, actually, out there as well. So so this is the LiUNA, and that's it! Exclamation point. The LiUNA.
No mileage on this name. Interesting move, but
I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. I did a little bit of research to try to figure it out. There's not very many people out there pronouncing it other than that way. So if I'm wrong, please, you know how I like to get things right. So if I'm wrong, please correct me. But yeah, it's LiUNA, and then I got it. But I got to say it excited.
Lowercase. What is it? The lowercase I, and then everything else is capitalized. So
LiUNA.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
I like it. That's better than I would have done. So I'm not even going to try it.
We'll go with that. So, around Las Vegas. God, I can't wait for this weekend of racing. It's just going to be so exciting. Trucks kick us off. Xfinity takes us most of the way there, and then Cups bring us home. So, Cody, but there is actually a few things that have gone on that we can actually talk about, and a lot of it has to deal with Dale Jr. and that whole circle that he runs around in, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. So Dale Jr. not going to be back at NBC this fall for, as of right now, the Cup Series and Xfinity Series are Fox through the first half of the season. NBC takes over for the second half. Dale Jr. has been on the NBC broadcast basically since he stopped racing, but his contract was up, and there had been a lot of rumors. Was he going back? Is he not? He is not going back. Instead, he is signing a deal with Amazon Prime and Warner Brothers Discovery, which would be TNT. So next season in 2025. So we get no Dale Jr. in the booth at all this season. Maybe he'll come in as a guest at some point. I could see that, even for NBC or Fox isn't doing the guests as much this year because they've got a full-time crew. But be interesting to see who replaces him if they do a rotating cast like Fox did. Who knows there? But next season, the TV deal, of course, we'll have Fox, then Amazon TNT kind of in the middle of the season. That's where Dale Jr. will be in. And then NBC will take over for the end of the season, only for the Cup Series. So I'm assuming Amazon, likely, they've got a couple dollars over there, probably threw some money at him. I think Dale Jr. is
they got a lot of my money over the last month, I'll tell you that much.
A lot of everyone's money, Rod. I think that Dale Jr. also is kind of at that point. His daughters are getting a little bit older. He's wanting to spend more time with them. I think, doing Xfinity, doing Cup, doing practice, all this stuff was a lot for him. Now he's basically just going to show up and call the races. And I think there's only 12 races between the two broadcasting teams. So kind of a little spot in the middle of the season. For NBC, he was working, I think he did Olympics a couple years ago. He was doing the Indy 500 every year. He was doing the Kentucky Derby every year, all of that stuff. So, I think that this is a good opportunity for him to be at home with the wife and the girls a little more, but still be part of it. Because I think he still wants to be part of it. And hey, Dale Jr. probably the most powerful person in NASCAR, right? So if people are going to be, slow on the switching to Amazon, switching to TNT for the races, we'll attract them with Dale Earnhardt Jr., right? And hard to say no to that guy if you're a fan. So,
yeah. Chris saying Jr. said he wouldn't want to broadcast races if he wasn't actually at the track.
He did.
Probably got something to do with it.
That on the podcast this week, which could have been a shot at NBC. I don't know, because I think that the plan, NASCAR is building a huge production facility in Charlotte there. And I think all the Xfinity races are going to be called remotely because NASCAR's handling all the production for CW next year. And so I think that Xfinity is probably all going to be remote for the most part. So I don't know if NBC has plans to do that. I'd be a little surprised. I think they still want the guys in the booth at the track.
And let's face it, why wouldn't you though? Because listen, honestly, I know we live in a world where you can do things from all over the place nowadays. But when it comes to sports and when it comes to calling sports, you can get excited watching it from a distant location, but there's nothing like the thrill of being at it actually live that heightens the experience of not just you, but your ability to deliver that same excitement to the audience. If I'm calling a race in Vegas from Charlotte, I'm watching it on TV. You and I could do that, and people would probably like us better sitting around watching a NASCAR race, as we call it, than somebody.
Hey, NBC's looking for somebody, Rod.
Hey,
we could do it from right here.
Yeah, we could. I'm telling you right now. If all it takes is for me to watch a monitor and call a race, let's go. I'm ready.
But yeah, who knows if that was actually part of the deal or not? But I think it works kind of overall for Junior. So no Junior on NBC this season. We don't know who. Then this is all per The Athletic as well. We don't know who will replace him or any of that stuff just yet. So a couple of other news stories to catch up on. Junior Motorsports had a big announcement today. A lot of rumors. Matt Kenseth, Carl Edwards, all the people hopeful. Of course, it was not those. Maybe Junior was announcing where he was going to race because he's going to do one race this season. I don't think that's been announced yet. But the announcement, Bubba Pollard is going to be driving the 88 car at Richmond. Again, this 88 car is getting a lot of work this season. I mean, they're entering it in a lot of races. Bubba Pollard, if you don't know, kind of a guy from the Cars Tour, pretty popular grassroots driver. Know how big Dale Jr. is on getting those guys opportunities. Ream is going to sponsor the car. If you don't know, Ream is Brandon Jones. His father is the president at Ream. They've got the tie-in with Menards. That's why he's got that whole deal and all that. So another Junior work and stuff behind the scenes to get these smaller guys these opportunities. So that's going to be a great opportunity for Bubba Pollard when we get to Richmond in a couple of weeks to drive that extra Xfinity 88 car.
maybe something we look at. Maybe they give us some head-to-heads. Maybe they give us. I doubt that it'll be anything we want to put in a top 5 or a top 10 market, but something
depending on what the
maybe
number
top
is.
10.
You never know. Well, we don't get top 10s at Xfinity, but top 5. He's a short track guy. Who knows? We'll see when we get there.
We will see when we get there, and we will get there quite soon, but not before I tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Look, if you guys are looking for all of our favorite Underdog Fantasy picks, well, you gotta wait till tomorrow, but we will make sure to load you up with our fair share of Underdog Fantasy picks, as we always do each week now with racing season full swing. God, I'm so happy. Last week we hit 6 of 6 on our Underdog picks. We're going to come back with that same intensity, that same fire, and that same just drive to earn you guys some money on Underdog Fantasy, because it is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Plus, it's also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. All you got to do, it's simple. If you've never played before, first of all you do is pick higher or lower. If you're playing anything like basketball, football, baseball, hockey, whatever, higher or lower is usually the great way to delineate between these. Or in racing world, it's better than or worse than, because thankfully we all had a conversation with them and said, hey, listen, higher, lower, a little confusing, clean up the language. They did. Now you have better or worse than on the driver's positions. All they got to do is either finish better or worse than, and you're going to cash up to 100 times on some of these spicy picks. Whew, man, I'm telling you right now, it's so much fun. And not to mention, if you sign up right now with the promo code RACE-SGPN, you're going to get a 100% deposit match up to $100. So sign up today with promo code RACE-SGPN. Get your first deposit doubled up to $100. Plus, you're going to toss in an instant pick'em special. So visit underdogfantasy.com or find them in the App Store. Don't forget to register with our promo code RACE-SGPN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as that instant pick'em special. Must be 18 or older and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Plus, SGPN is teaming up with Underdog to give you even more of a bonus. Sign up between now and the end of the month, so you got a few minutes left. 5 winners are going to receive an Underdog hat, Underdog shirt, and a $50 SGPN gift card. Sign up today using that promo code RACE-SGPN. Then go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/dog to enter the contest for your chance to win. All right, Cody, as it is, we are going to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the LiUNA. That's it. But it is 200 laps around this 1.5 mile paved track. This is a 300-mile race. Again, it's 200 laps. We're back to we're back to the more familiar 1.5 mile tracks for these guys. So all of the chaos of super speedways are gone. Now we're back to where we can sort of stretch our legs and race the way God intended it to be. And that is single file around this for a long, long time. But no, I mean, listen, again, as we talked about going into, if all you listen to is the Xfinity show and you don't listen to the Cup show, we did kind of talk about it in the Cup episode, saying now you can't really take what we saw in the last 2 weeks, much of what we saw over the last 2 weeks with you. Cody waved that forgetting.
Yeah, I was a little confused by JDK's question here. He asked if I think Love can pull another pole out. Has he sat on the pole this year? I don't know. I don't remember the last 2 weeks because they don't matter. So, no, he's not going to sit on the pole. He's in an RCR car.
Yeah, RCR cars doesn't on the pole. But I mean, what we can kind of take away, though, is some attitudes, some driving aggression and things that we see that we actually can sort of pick up on. But
Austin Hill's the only driver locked in to the playoffs in all 3 NASCAR series. That is something to, I mean, they can go to Vegas and gamble as much as they want to. He is in the playoffs as long as he starts the rest of the races this regular season. I mean, he's locked in. So, it would not be possible. Well, that takes some math, but I don't think it's possible for him to not get locked in.
He's driving with loaded dice this weekend all around the track. So he's the roulette wheel ball that will just stop wherever the hell he wants because it doesn't really matter at this point for him. But no, you're right, because he can take a few chances outside of that. So it's going to be an interesting race. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch these guys. And now we get to see guys like JDK, like Jesse Love. We get to see what he does on
This is where you can start judging what Jesse Love's season looks like, because the last 2 weeks, while impressive, don't matter until we get to Talladega. Then maybe we could talk about that there some more, but it's not going to translate going forward to that. So again, that's a good reminder. We talked about it yesterday on the Truck Series episode, talked about it on the Cup Series episode, talked about it on the recap show. But if you haven't caught any of those yet, as you get into this, what happened the last 2 weeks has no bearing on what will happen this weekend, and really makes no difference in any way, shape, or form for what you saw. In the Cup Series, Todd Gilliland has led more laps than anyone else this season, Rod. If I could bet on him to not lead laps this weekend, I would absolutely take that bet, because the only way he's leading laps is on a green flag cycle for pit stops.
Crown him already, Cody. So. Crown him already.
Exactly. It's just not how it works. So looking at the entry list for this, not as hefty as the Truck Series entry list as far as guys moonlighting in this series. So we've got the 2 rotating JGR cars. John Hunter Nemechek for the 3rd week in a row will remain in the 20 car. Eric Almirola making his first start back at JGR. By the way, he was started his career back at Joe Gibbs Motorsports before he moved on to different pastures and found his way through the Cup Series. He's now back with them and running the part-time schedule. So he's going to be in the 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing, and John Hunter Nemechek will be in the 20 car. And then the other Toyota that is a different one here is the 26 for Sam Hunt Racing. Corey Heim coming up from the Truck Series. He's going to be racing in that. We're actually going to be talking about him a little bit here in a little bit. So wanted to catch up on the chat real quick here too. We got the Dos Flacos with his cheers, boys. Cheers to Dos Flacos. Dos Flacos is already in the show sheet again. It seems like he knows what we're going to talk about every time.
Swear to God, that guy. I told you when I send it to him, I tell him, don't put it in the chat, and yet he still does. So thank you. Thank you, Dos Flacos.
Yes, Dan is throwing out a curse word here. Wish we had more beep head-to-head with SVG. And then Chris following up with, he thought that I would bet on Voldemort. Absolutely not. I would take SVG. See, Chris, we found the bar. We found out where it's at. And Dan also taking a peek at the show sheet, I think. So we'll be talking about that in a few. Don't worry.
You know what it is, Cody? It's not even that they're taking a peek at the show sheet. We have fostered a fantastically smart audience. They
know what to look for.
I know. I'm telling you right now. I absolutely love the fact that you guys are sharp bet. See, this is what I'm talking about. At some point, you won't need us. Hopefully, you just come back to us because you like us and you just want to keep hearing us reaffirm what you already thought because we helped you get there. So that's every podcaster's dream, is for you to work your way out of existence, and yet you still stick around because you just like the sound of me screaming at you and Cody's soothing voice.
I love it. All right, Rod. I think we got to everything now. Caught up on the news. It's time to give the bets out, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Thank you, producer. It's time to put the bets out.
Let's go. Speed it up. I'm ready to. Dude, much like the Truck Series yesterday, we had so many great options. I sort of felt bad. I beat you to the document, and I loaded this thing.
You don't feel bad.
I mean, no, I don't feel bad. But there's so many good. I just kept adding bets, and I'm like, fuck, this looks good. Fuck, that looks good. Like, man, we're in Vegas this week, and they're letting us gamble. I love it. It's great. This is an amazing Xfinity card. So yeah, get ready because I got a lot of bets on the sheet here.
Cody went walking down the snack aisle of the grocery store.
I'm like, give me one of those. I'll add this one in this tab. Do these things really match? No, but I'm going to put them together anyways.
So just so you guys know, last night Cody texts me and says, "You probably don't want to do this, but I'm ready to rock, and I'm ready to rock with Xfinity."
I was so excited, Rod. I'm like, I got done with my research, and I'm like, dude, I'm pumped up. I'm ready to give these out. Like, do you want to go tonight? You just want to do the show tonight? Get it out of the way? Like, let's go, man. I'm ready.
I was like, I'm sorry, but my kids and wife have forgotten what I look like, and they claim me for the rest of the night. So my bad. So I opened the doc, and just like Cody said, he's got everything just filled out. I'm like, there's nobody left for me to bet. So I'll just.
Rod took the SVG outright because that's the only thing left.
And I put Daniel Hemrick in there for good measure. So
even though he's not in the race.
No, and that's why I just threw in whatever odds I just made for him. But all right, we will get to the bets because Cody's anxious. He's been anxious since last night to give you guys his betting card. So Let's get this on the way. But first, let's tell you about Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NBA season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NBA and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bets, a revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. I'm going to refrain from saying the name of this race for the rest of the episode because I still feel like I'm saying it wrong. I'm self-conscious about how I'm saying it, and you know me, I like to get it right. So I'll just say the Xfinity race for this weekend in Las Vegas, and it's time to fill out those cards. So Cody, I know you've been ready to dish this one out since last night, so please start us off.
Yes, I'm excited. First of all, shout out to Rye Cape in the chat saying let's go. I'm going to be with Rye and Full Tech with Phil actually going to be on the show as well. 8 p.m. Eastern time tonight over on the NASCAR Report. So I'll post the link over in the Discord, but make sure you check us out. Dos Flacco saying best odds of all three series. Well, it might be hard to argue with that. I mean, I did really like the Truck Series race and really just a good slate overall for all three series this week. So I'm happy about that with it being the first kind of real week where you can bet on stuff where it's not just the complete super speedway gamble. So.
But is that why we're happy about it? I feel like that may be why we're more.
It could be. We get a quote unquote normal week, right? So
yeah. You got
it. Oops, we both clicked at the same time. JB checking in. Good to see there's practice for Vegas. Yeah, so make sure you're paying attention to that as well. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about that over on the Discord as well once practice is in the book. But all right, Rod, time to get to it. I'm gonna start off. Sheldon Creed is over with JGR now in the Joe Gibbs camp. I'm going to take him over AJ Allmendinger plus 120. Look, Sheldon Creed was impressive last year in an RCR car. There's no question that, and again, this is where you've got to remember from the last 2 weeks, I know both RCR cars were fast. I know they were both very impressive. Does not matter. It doesn't translate. When you get to this type of track, they are not going to be head and shoulders above everyone else like they were at the super speedways. Again, when we get to Talladega in a couple of weeks, we can have that conversation again. They're going to be the cream of the crop. We understand that. This week, it's going to be the JGR cars. It's going to be the JRM cars. We've seen this story how many years in a row now. We know how this works. That's going to be the case. So you're getting a JGR car over a Colleague car. Don't get me started on the Colleague cars, Rod. We went down the Twitter hole on that last night. About how Colleague doesn't actually care about winning races, although they might in the Xfinity Series. They don't in the Cup Series. But anyways, AJ Allmendinger, I think he's going to have a solid run. I think he's going to be strong through this day. I think he's going to be a top 10 car. I think he'll be pushing for a top 5. I don't think he's going to be competing for the win, where Sheldon Creed, I do think he can compete for the win. So if you go back and you look, Creed in the last 2 spring races here at Las Vegas, a 9th place and a 7th place, nice solid runs. Again, in an RCR car, he's way stepping his game up in one of these full-time JGR cars this season. AJ did win here in 2021, so you got to give him credit for that. 7th, 9th, 22nd in the other 3 races that he's been in since then. He didn't race Xfinity races here last season because he was full-time in the Cup Series. But the last 2 races of last year for Sheldon Creed, if you go back and you look at the last 2 races at Martinsville and Phoenix, 2nd place in both of them. So he finished the season really strong. Again, that's kind of what I'm looking for as far as what have you done for me lately, more so than the Xfinity or than the super speedway races, because they just don't translate as much. You go back to Kansas last year, 3rd place, again, in an RCR car, not even in a JGR car yet. 3rd place there. He was 8th place at Texas. And you go back to AJ Allmendinger, 22nd. And so going back and looking at what AJ did at mile and a half in 2022, the last time he was full-time in Xfinity, 22nd at Vegas, 6th at Kansas, again, decent run. 9th at Texas, decent run. 9th at the 2nd Vegas race, decent run. 19th at Charlotte, but none of those jumping off the page screaming to me, that he's going to be up there near the very front of things. So I love Sheldon Creed this week. I think everyone's going to be kind of surprised and like, whoa, we didn't see this coming. Where did this Sheldon Creed come from? Because they're not realizing, as I knock stuff over in my office here, they're not realizing that he's in a JGR car and he's going to be extremely fast this week. So give me Sheldon Creed over AJ Allmendinger, and it's plus money too, plus 120 over on Superbook. So I absolutely love this one.
Well, this is our first disagreement of the not even disagreement.
This is how the Xfinity, again, if you've not listened to an Xfinity Series show last couple of weeks, again, throw it out, Super Speedways. If you didn't listen to an Xfinity Series show last week and you want to hear the show Rod and I disagree on the most, it is always the Xfinity Series show, and we're kicking it off in good fashion right here.
It's so weird because it really does. It never, I don't know. Your bleeding love for JGR just sort of just clouds your entire.
I got a lot of JGR on my sheet here. Hey, I threw one JRM driver in there.
And did I? I didn't even do it this time. I mean, okay, I did. I threw one in there, but I did it in an unconventional way. I don't want to be pegged as the only JRM.
JGR just gonna destroy this race.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that. So listen, your bet can still cash as long as Sheldon Creed does come in either second or first, because I have AJ as a top 3 car at plus 350. You already rattled off some of his finishes on there, but I'm going to go on to say that, listen, when you talked about his finishes, right? He does have a win here in 2021. You're absolutely right. He started second in 2021 in the fall and finished in 7th place, but he's led laps in every single race in the Xfinity Series that he's been on. In 2021 in the spring, 44 laps. In 2021 in the fall, 20 laps. In 2022, he led 32 laps. He started on the pole that day, ended up finishing 9th, unfortunately. And then in the fall of 2022, where did he start? Oh yeah, on the pole, and then finished in 22nd. But in that race in the fall of 2023, he actually was in the top 10 in both stages. He was second at the end of stage 1, and he was 7th in the end of stage 2. And so to me, obviously, if you're running around in the front, you do have an opportunity to sort of sneak up there and win this race. But again, AJ Allmendinger leading laps in every single race that he's been on in the Xfinity Series. And like I said, 2 poles and a win. That means he's always got a fast car when he comes here. We know that he's sneaky good at other tracks that aren't necessarily road courses. So I'm giving AJ Allmendinger the benefit of the doubt here. I'm not going out so far as to say he's going to win this race, but I still think a top 3 performance out of him, especially now because of this, right, Cody? We watched him go up to the Cup Series last year. We watched the pressure of all of what that entailed sort of wear on him all season long, right? He was worn out. He was tired. When he won that race, he was emotional because he didn't think he was ever going to do it again in the Cup Series. And he knew that his time up there was running down. Now, look, he's back where the pressure is a lot less. There's still pressure. Don't get us wrong. There's still pressure to win, but it's a lot less pressure now. And you got to think that year that he spent up there is done him well to just sort of calm him down. So I think maybe now that we're back on our normal track, now that we're back in some sort of normal rhythm, this is better for AJ. And I think a top 3 finish for him, especially at plus 350, for a guy that sat on the pole the last 2 times that he was on this track as an Xfinity driver, has a win in 5 races that he's been in this series on this track. I just think that number is too big to pass up, right? I think you have to at least try to take a chance on that and bank on a good run from him. Now, again, Creed can finish second or win this race, and both of our bets hit. So, I like AJ as a top 5 car top 3 car rather at plus 350.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Again, I think AJ is going to be in the mix. I think he'll be top 5, top 10 most of the day, kind of be hanging out there at the end. Has the opportunity to get in the top 3. I do think Creed's going to be in the faster car, the better car. That's why I'm taking Creed over him, especially at the plus money. But AJ can definitely still do this, and plus 350 is a pretty solid number. So I definitely don't hate that at all. Next up for me, Rod, I got a couple of top 5s going for kind of shooting for a little bit bigger odds with these guys, but I think they've definitely both got some pretty good potential. So I'm going to start with Brandon Jones to get a top 5 at plus 275. He's got 14 starts here, Rod. 7 times he's been inside the top 7 at the end of the race. He's got 2 third-place finishes. He was 8th in the fall when we were just in here. And that was when they were starting to finally figure things out, right? Really rough season to start for Brandon Jones at JRM. The transition coming over from JGR, things just didn't click. Things didn't go well. Very rough season at the start, but at the end of the season, started to kind of piece things together, started to put things together a little bit. And he ends up with a 2nd place at Kansas in the fall He ends up with a third place at Michigan. Tracks he's very good on and that are comparable to Vegas here this weekend. So I think things kind of started to ramp up for them at the end of the season. I think he can carry that into the beginning of this season. I think that at plus 275, just to get in the top 5, is a good shot on Brandon Jones. So there's your JRM love for me. And I'm also going to take my guy Corey Heim from the Truck Series. I'm taking for a top 5 at plus 750. It's a big number. He's definitely a long shot to get this done. He's in the Sam Hunt Toyota, not a JGR Toyota. So, make sure you're noting that. Sam Hunt has cut back down to 1 car this season instead of having 2. I think they're trying to focus their efforts a little more on that. Heim is a big-time TRD driver. I mean, I kind of expect him to take over the 42 for John Hunter Nemechek next year when Nemechek moves to Gibbs to replace Truex, or whether that happens next year or 2026. I think right now that's the path that Toyota has laid out. So I think they're going to give him a little extra in this car, and I think the car is going to be just fine. Heim is a solid driver. Last year he was in this car at Darlington, had a 10th place finish. So if he can get up to 10th, maybe a little bit of help with some wrecks, whatever the case may be, he's a better driver by now. Maybe the equipment's improved a little bit. He can find his way up into the top 5 there as well. So, and again, you go back to the Truck Series, and we talked about this yesterday on the Truck Series episode, but out of all the races in the Truck Series last season, 22 races he started, 3 times he finished worse than 8th place. He's just a good driver. He takes care of his equipment. He gets it to the end. So I think at plus 750 just to finish inside the top 5, something that Corey Heim can definitely do. So Brandon Jones top 5 plus 275, Corey Heim top 5 plus 750.
Yeah, Brandon Jones was one of those ones where I was about to put it in the dock. I was doing all my research. I was about to put it in the dock, and I looked. There it was. I was like, "Well, screw that. Cody's got it. I'm gonna move on to the next story." But I do like.
He's a guy I love hitting every time we come to a mile and a half, because it's like there's enough spread out between the mile and a half that they forget he's good at the mile and a half specifically every time, and then he's always kind of in the mix there.
Yeah. And then for Heim, of course, we know the love for Heim. So 750 is such a huge number. Yeah. There's no harm in betting that one. Yeah. That's only upside.
And again, you get one crazy random wreck, takes out a couple competitors, or there's some kind of strategy late. Everybody runs out of gas on the last, whatever the case may be, right? And he's the type of guy that's going to take care of it. He's going to put himself in position and have a chance, I think, there at the end.
I agree. Speaking of having a chance at the end, you'd be remiss if you did not mention John Hunter Nemechek's name at least once in this entire broadcast. I'm not necessarily going to say that he's going to win this race, so he's not one of my outrights.
I'm so happy you put him in here, because I had him on the card, Rod. I did, and I took him off, and I didn't feel good about it. So I'm glad you're mentioning him.
Well, and I have to in this capacity at least, right? His top 3 number is probably the most, I don't want to say lucrative, but it's probably the one that makes the most sense out of all of his odds right now. His top 3 number, I know it's juiced, it's minus 120, but John Hunter Nemechek in the top 3 is probably a slam dunk. Not so much on Las Vegas. That's probably why it makes bookmakers a little queasy, even though it's still minus money. But he's got 2 second place finishes in 6 starts here. His average finish is 7.7. He's got an 8th place finish, a 6th place finish, and then a 12th and a 16th. So he hasn't necessarily finished all that well on Las Vegas on a consistent basis. Now he did pop up with 2 runner-up finishes, like I said, which puts him in the top 3, which proves that he can do it. And one of those second place finishes was in that 23 Gallagher car. So it wasn't even in the 20, but he has 2 top 10 finishes in the 20 car, a 6th place and a runner-up. But really where he makes his money is on these mile and a halves. You look at Charlotte, right? Last season, he started second, finished second in the race at Charlotte. You look at Texas Motor Speedway. He's won 2 of the last 3 races on that, crashed out of one of them, but he led 60 laps and started 4th and finished 28th in that one. But all top 10 finishes at the Texas Motor Speedway as an Xfinity driver, even in the 42, the 23, the 54, the 18, and the 20. Didn't matter what he was driving. He was winning at Texas Motor Speedway. Kansas, he's won 2 of 3 in Kansas in the 42 and the 20, and still finished 8th in the 23. You go to Phoenix one last time. No wins there, but a string of top 10 finishes up until last year in the fall, where we remember he led 66 laps. He was 3rd on the grid when they rolled off. Unfortunately, he finished in 28th. So, John Hunter Nemechek, just an absolute terror around these mile and a halves. Just last season, we just could not leave him off the card, right? And now that he's up in the Cup Series, I think when he comes down, you still can't leave him off the card. You just got to find the right place to do it. I said an outright seems a little too much for me in this instance, but I think a top 3 at minus 120 is worth a taste.
Yeah, it's a lot like Larson in the Cup Series, right? Where John Hunter's probably the best driver and probably one of the fastest cars at JGR, but he's only plus 350 to win. Not that we're against taking the favorites, which we haven't done in any of the 3 series this week. And spoiler, he was originally one of my picks to win, but I changed my mind. He's not done it here in Xfinity last season, even when he's dominating. And it's just, you got to pick and choose your spots when you're going to go with the heavy favorites like that. I don't think this is a good spot for it, but I think a top 3 at only minus 120 is not a bad number at all. And if one of these other JGRs gets him, somebody else gets him, he still finishes in the top 3 and he can cash that for you. So Dan Aykroyd in the comments a little bit ago. I'm going to assume this is the comedic actor as well, too, Dan Aykroyd. But Chandler Smith, some more Chandler Smith. And if we have some time, some more Chandler Smith. I couldn't agree with you more. This is Chandler Smith's weekend. So I probably should have ran the car lift on Chandler Smith, but that's all right. We're just going to take his top 3 right here. And spoiler alert, I'll be talking about him again in a few more minutes. But top 3 for Chandler Smith is plus 275. Are you fucking kidding me, Rod? Last spring here, he led 118 laps as he came to get 2 to go, leading the race, Austin Hill. And I am so happy it happened because we had Austin Hill that day. What, 22 to 1, 25 to 1 or something? Austin Hill passes him with 2 laps to go, wins the race. And Chandler Smith, after leading 118 laps in a colleague car, he led 118 laps, Rod. Guess where he's at this year? JGR. He's going to be in a faster, better car than the car he led 118 laps in and almost won this race last season. Just for him to get in the top 3, plus 275 is an absolute steal. He led 23 laps in the fall here as well and finished in 4th place. So he was 1 spot outside of that top 3. And again, massive upgrade in car going from colleague over to JGR. He's only got 2 starts here in the Xfinity Series, both those in the colleague cars. But you go back to last season at similar tracks, 4th place at Auto Club. He had a 4th place at Texas. And he's in such a better car this season. It blows my mind that he's honestly not even the favorite to win this thing. And like, he probably should be. This is your chance to get in on these JGR cars. No, it seems like people are not sure what Chandler Smith's going to do, what Sheldon Creed's going to do. You know, they're switching over to JGR. Have we not watched the last couple of seasons? I know it was Ty Gibbs. I know it was John Nemechek, very talented guys, but Chandler Smith is highly talented. Sheldon Creed is highly talented. And these cars are just fast year in and year out. So love the Chandler Smith top 3. I got more on Chandler Smith in a bit, but we're going to start there. That number at plus 275, really, really good number for Chandler Smith.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I love the Chandler Smith angle because, again, as you look through the stats, as you dig through, that name just pops out at you at every turn. I mean, you look and you can't can't throw a rock without hitting Chandler Smith. Don't do it. And I'll promise I won't do it when I'm there. But yeah, it's just, you can't get away from Chandler Smith. So I'm glad you have him on the card as well. All right, I'm going to throw a stab out there at a top 5. And this one, obviously the stats aren't necessarily there to back it up 100%. This is just more of a gut feeling for me. I got Jesse Love as a top 5. Now, I would feel more comfortable. Let me put a disclaimer on this one. I would feel way more comfortable if I could get a top 10 odd on him, because I would still probably take this top 10 down to even money, right? That would make me feel a little more comfortable for Love as a top 10, but we don't have top 10s. So I'm just going to go ahead and call him a top 5 car at plus 225 and let the chips fall where they may. See what I did there? It's Vegas. So yeah, listen, the whole thing of this is that I know that we're not taking the finishes from last week, the last few weeks, but what I've seen from him is the maturity to be able to drive this car well. We know that the 2 car is a good car. We know that his teammate is good and wins all the time, right? So we know that this team is capable of winning. We know that this car, well, okay, we didn't know the car was capable of winning because we haven't seen Creed. Anyways, we know that the car could win if the driver is capable of putting it in victory lane. I love Creed. I'm sorry. We're going to have beers later. I'm just saying, you know, your tough luck.
Creed's about to show everybody this year that the equipment is what was holding them back from winning.
We'll see about that. But I will say again, we know that this is good equipment. We know that Austin Hill makes this equipment good. We know that Jesse Love is a good driver. So to me, look, he's in the right situation with the right team behind him. I feel like if he's got the right attitude, a top 5 is his ceiling. So I'm going to chase after his ceiling this week. I may be off of him for the rest of the season after this, but I think I want to see it. I want to see it now on a mile and a half. I want to see what this car can do. I want to see what he can do. Sheldon Creed in this car took it in Vegas for a 7th place finish and a 9th place finish. He did have a 37th finish in there and a 15th finish as well, but top 10 finishes for him in this in Las Vegas. Not bad there. Jesse Love, though, has one good solid finish in the Truck Series that he can hang his hat on a mile and a half, and that was a 4th place finish in Phoenix after starting 10th. So I don't know. I know we can't really correlate the Truck Series to the Cup Series, but they do say, Cody, that the Truck Series is the closest to the Cup Series, right, as far as handling is concerned. So
yeah, the Cup Series, not the Xfinity Series.
Oh yeah, Xfinity Series. Well, whatever. It's all the same to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Plus 225, by the way. That's the number for this.
How many JGR cars are there? 4. Austin Hill, AJ Allmendinger, Justin Allgaier. Oof, I don't know. I don't know if I'm just not buying the jet. I hate to be this guy, Rod. I love Jesse Love. I think he's an uberly talented young kid, but when these guys just it's like everybody's like, oh my God, look what he did the last 2 weeks. And I know you're not basing it off that, but so many people are that it makes me feel like I have to just hate on him. I don't know.
Well, again,
I'm out on Jesse Love for the time being. And I don't think he's going to be bad. I think he's going to be fine, but he's young. That car is just not, it's not the other teams. I don't know.
I'm just saying again, and you know me. I mean, I'm not the one to jump on bandwagons like that either. But I will say that from the eye test, from what I've seen, as far as him just being able to handle this type of situation,
again, that's what you can take away from the last 2 weeks. Is his poise was great and he performed well. He runs out of gas. It's not really much he could have done about that. I mean, he's leading the race. Really hard to save much more fuel than he did, I think. And the other one he wrecked, but he still ended up there. So. You can take that side of things. Dos Flacco's checking in. Rod feeling spicy. Love has experience at Las Vegas, but it's on the 3/8 bull ring course. He crushed it there, though. He likes him over Sammy Smith at even money. Again, Dos Flacco's just obviously hanging out behind the scenes here. That sets me up because I am also taking a bet against Sammy Smith. I'm going to take Eric Almirola in a couple of head-to-heads here. Eric Almirola, -120 over Sammy Smith at Caesars. Eric Almirola over AJ Allmendinger, -110. We'll start with the Eric Almirola over AJ Allmendinger one. Look, I made the points on AJ earlier. I think he's going to have a solid day, but I don't think he's going to compete to win. Rod, I have a question here. What team is Eric Almirola racing for in Xfinity here?
Well, if I had to guess, I'm going to have to say that Eric Almirola is racing for, I've got the thing right up in front of me and I can't even find his damn name. Who is he racing for?
It's Joe Gibbs Racing.
It is Joe Gibbs Racing.
So to my point of these cars are really fucking fast. How does nobody not remember this? These cars are the fastest, best cars out there. You're putting a guy that's been in the Cup Series for years. Yes, he retired after last season. He's not been sitting on his couch for 6 years and jumping back in this car. Like, he won an Xfinity race in a shit car last year at Sonoma. Weird circumstances, but really he outraced Kyle Larson and AJ Allmendinger at the end of the deal. He can do it. This is the perfect scenario for him. Much like Dale Jr. wants to spend more time with his family. He's able to do that, but still race in a fucking good-ass car. Like, this is the perfect situation, and the books are sleeping on him. The numbers are just great on Eric Almirola. He's going to show up, and he's going to be competitive. He's going to be fast. Spoiler alert, got more on Eric Almirola in a few minutes too. But as far as going over AJ Allmendinger, I think AJ is going to be okay, and he's going to be top 10. I don't think he's going to compete for the win. I think Eric Almirola is going to compete for the win. When you go to Sammy Smith, you look back at what Sammy Smith has done last season. 17th place here in the fall, 17th place here in the spring. I mean, do we think Eric Almirola can finish in 16th place, Rod? I would hope so. I expect him to finish a lot better than that. But, Sammy Smith was 35th at Kansas. He was 10th at Charlotte. None of those impressive. He did have a third place at Texas, so I will give him some credit there. But a majority of the mile-and-a-half races last season, not good for Sammy Smith. And, you look at the JRM lineup, and you've got Justin Allgaier is kind of the top dog. Sam Mayer is kind of the other top dog. He kind of falls in third over there. And I know Eric Almirola is in one of these part-time cars. Well, it's not even a part-time car. It's a full-time car. He's just running it part-time. But all of these JGR cars are fast, and we have seen that in the past, right? We've seen Ryan Truex win races last year, Trevor Bayne be competitive. I mean, if Ryan Truex and Trevor Bayne can jump in this car and be competitive, why can't Eric Almirola do it? So I love him to go over both Sammy Smith at -120 and AJ Allmendinger at -110. Again, I think that we're just not connecting all the dots here. Like, Eric Almirola was kind of a mid-racer in the Cup Series, right? Pop up, win every once in a while. But he's stepping down a series, and he's going to be in the best cars out there. It's the perfect combination for success for Eric Almirola. And, maybe he doesn't win this race, but is he going to be top 5, top 7, even top 10 at the end of the day? Yes. Is Sammy Smith going to be that good? Yeah, probably not. AJ Allmendinger, I know you made the case for him to be top 3, but I think he's going to be 7th to 10th, somewhere in there. And I think that Eric Almirola easily will beat Sammy Smith. I think he'll also beat AJ Allmendinger. So love him over both these guys.
I love half of your bet. The other half's garbage. No, I'm just kidding. No, listen.
So let's see. We have Creed winning the race, Eric Almirola second, and AJ Allmendinger third, and they all cash.
Okay. See, there you go. I like that. And then Jesse Love in 5th, and then we're all happy. And Brandon Jones in 4th.
Or Corey Heim can stick in there. It's fine.
Okay. Well, we'll have to expand the top 5 to the top 6 books. We need
we can get top 6 odds, please.
We don't need top 5s anymore. Top 6s is where we live. Let's pull on our F1 hats and do a top 6.
We could get some top 10s would be great, but
that would be fantastic. That would be a lot better off.
Maybe someday, Rod.
Yeah, maybe someday. All right. Well, then my only head-to-head involves a surprise. If I had a drum roll pad on my board, I would play it. A JRM car, and it's the favorite JRM car that I have. I didn't know that I was going to grow up to be a Justin Allgaier fan, but here I am. I am a Justin Allgaier fan through and through. So I'm going to say that the 7 car finishes better than the 00, the championship reigning champion, Cole Custer. This is at -115. So like I said, I'm going to take Justin Allgaier over Cole Custer. It's not that Cole Custer's not good. In fact, his average finish here as an Xfinity driver is 7.3. Last season, he turned a second place start into a third place finish. He has 3 consecutive poles between 2018 and 2019. So, 2018, 2019 spring, 2019 fall on the pole. But he's only got 1 finish, or 2 finishes, rather, outside of the top 10. He's got a 9th, a 3rd, a 9th, a 4th, and a 3rd. Cole Custer's good on this track. But Justin Allgaier, average finish of, get this, 7.3. They both have the same average finish. However, the last few races for Justin Allgaier, and in fact, you got to figure that even Cole Custer, he took a couple of years off, right? He went to the Cup Series and tried his hand up there, and then came back down to finish 12th and 3rd in 2023. But Allgaier's been on this track ever since, right? He's got a 6th place finish in the fall of last season, runner-up finish in the spring, 3rd place in the fall of 2022, 5th place in the spring of 2022, 2nd place finish in the fall of 2021. Bad run in the spring of 2021. He finished 14th, but 4th, 8th, 5th, 31st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Allgaier is a perennial top 5 car. Like, there's honestly very few times, as I've read off, that he's been outside of this top 5. And so to me, that's consistency. Whereas Cole Custer, he's got those 3 top 5 finishes in his starts here. But again, an 11th, a 9th, a 9th, a 12th. Those are all too close to top 10 range than they are top 5 range in my book. So I'm definitely giving the edge here to Justin Allgaier, just because, again, he was on the track. He's been on the track longer than Cole Custer in this series in general. And he's had more success as of late. I mean, that 7.3 average for Allgaier kind of counts in some of those bad finishes that he had at the beginning. Well, I say bad finishes, but 16 top 10 finishes in 19 starts. The dude's just good on this track, and he's good in 1.5 miles altogether. And to me, like I said, I'm going to take that. Cole Custer just seems to be a slow starter, right? I mean, that's last year we were like, he's going to come out, win 10 races.
Don't remind me that I said that, Rob.
I'm just saying, like, we thought he was. It wasn't just you. I thought the same thing. But, yeah, he's just a slow starter. So this is still the third race of the season. Cole Custer, his car is getting a little bit of time to warm up. I'm going to take Allgaier over him in this race.
Yeah, man, I don't know if I love this one. I think Cole Custer is going to show up. Man, I don't know. Justin Allgaier, I'm so
just say you hate JRM, Cody. Just say you hate
don't.
JRM.
I love Brandon Jones. I bet on him earlier. I don't really have an opinion on this bet. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know where these two guys. I looked at both of them this week, trying to consider placing bets on them, and it was just like, I don't know. I couldn't figure out what to do with either of them. Hence why they didn't make my cards. So I'll leave that pick up to you and fully support you, Rod. Next up for me, winning manufacturer bet. Toyota is plus 155, Rod. Absolutely love this. And I know you're thinking there's only 5 Toyotas in the field, Cody. So pretty small Toyota field. And yes, that is correct. But first of all, you're getting John Hunter Nemechek in this. Plus 350 to win this race. At plus 155, you can add Chandler Smith, who I've already talked about, who I'm about to talk about again in a minute. You can add Eric Almirola, who I've already talked about. I'm about to talk about again in a minute. You can add Sheldon Creed, who I've already talked about. I'm about to talk about again in a minute. Did I just give away all my winners, Rod? I am all in on the Toyota basket. I don't understand. They were so good last year on all these tracks. John Hunter winning left and right. Sammy Smith was continually fast, but continued to have issues finishing races. Ryan Truex was fast. Trevor Bayne was fast. I mean, these JGR cars were fast. You're getting Chandler Smith. You're getting Eric Almirola. You're getting Sheldon Creed. And again, so this is kind of my way to bet on Justin or on John Hunter without completely just taking just him, right? I'm getting all of his mates in there as well. And you're only moving his number basically from plus 350 to plus 155 and getting 3 other very strong cars. Corey Heim is in there as well. Do I see Heim winning? Probably not. But I think having all four of the JGR cars in the mix at plus 155, I'll take that bet. Obviously you've got a lot of Chevys, a couple of Fords as well in Herbston, Custer that could be threats, but I really like that. And then going over to the Chevy camp, I'm going to take the top finishing Chevrolet to be Austin Hill, Rod. His number is at plus 350. I was looking at an Austin Hill top 5, which is only plus 120. And then I was thinking to myself, I really love all of these, all these JGR cars to do well. I think guys like Herbst are going to do well. Maybe Austin Hill doesn't get in the top 5, but he could still be the top finishing Chevrolet, even if he doesn't get in the top 5, and you're getting a better number at it. So that's why I kind of went this route for Austin Hill. Justin Allgaier, I think, is the biggest threat, and he's the favorite to win this group. AJ Allmendinger is at plus 350 as well. Again, I think he's going to be strong, but I don't think he's going to be competing to win strong. Austin Hill did win this race last season. Do I think, Austin Hill was just our automatic top 5 bet early on last season, right? He continued to do it. And again, I'm not even taking into account the last 2 weeks. I know he won both of them. I know it was impressive. It doesn't translate. He's not going to be that good at Las Vegas this week, I don't think. I think he's going to hang around. I think he's going to put himself in a good position at the end. I think he can be the top finishing Chevy. So those are the only 2 guys that are above him. You got Sam Mayer. He's done a lot here, or he's done a lot at the end of last season and been impressive, but where are we going there? Sammy Smith, he proved last year he couldn't really finish races. Jesse Love, where are we at? Brandon Jones, I like him for the top 5, but if I hit the top 5 on him, not going to be sad. So, and then you're getting into Kligerman, SVG, Josh Williams. So really it's just these top couple of guys, and I think that Austin Hill can easily beat these guys. He's going to be hanging around in that, 5th to 10th place range the majority of the day, put himself in position. I think he could win top Chevy, potentially being 6th, 7th or something in here. And if he gets a top 5, fine, and he hits this top Chevy for you, you got a better number anyways. So winning manufacturer, Toyota 155, Austin Hill, top Chevy, plus 350. Both those are over on Caesars.
Well, I will add to your bet in that way, and I'll take the winning car number. Surprise, surprise. When I looked at these, I was trying to figure out which way to go, and I realized that even at minus 150 is not a great way to go. And so I just decided to pick the number range, right? And for this one, the number ranges even were kind of atrocious. So I just decided to take the one that I felt like had the better number on it, and a couple of drivers in there that I like the most, and that's winning car number of 50 or more, and this is at plus 420. Not a lot of cars in that range, actually. There's really only two that you can really hang your hat on, and so you're sort of either weighing Chandler Smith and Riley Herbst to win this race. So this is sort of a bet on either one of those two to end up winning the race. But I figure you're getting two good drivers at plus 420. It's almost like, a great, and I think both of us even have this on our cards. So we're kind of taking our outrights and I don't want to say parlaying them, but we're sort of hedging on one sort of bet. Now it also has Jeremy Clements, BJ McLeod, Kyle Weatherman, and Nick Lights and Shane Van Gisbergen in there.
Oh, SVG, we found a way to bet on him.
There you go.
Make sure you write this down, Chris. There's a bet on an SVG.
That actually, it is a bet on SVG. So Gisbergen, as they love to say in that one. Yeah, so this is a bet on SVG too. It's sort of a backhanded way to get him on your card if you want. And at plus 420, shoot, man. I mean, you could still bet him outright if you really, really feel like it, but this is an opportunity for you to not have to lose an outright bet on him and still win if you end up deciding to bet on this one. So like I said, plus 420, 50 or more. It's really just a bet on whether Chandler Smith or Riley Herbst wins this. And then if somebody else from this camp decides to sneak up, I mean, you have better shot betting him outright. But if you really believe in a Jeremy Clements, then by all means bet an outright on him. But I still like this 50 or more at plus 420. So give me that.
Yeah, well, I don't hate it. It's a big number, so that's nice. You're kind of tossing in Herbst and Smith together there, which is not a bad way to look at it. And then you get SVG, and I don't think anybody else in that group can win. But, yeah, I don't hate it.
Yeah. And again, it's not, you can still bet either one of them outright, and then you just triple down. If whatever one doesn't hit, then you've got a little insurance. You've hedged a little. So.
Exactly. And I still don't argue with you on winning car numbers, even in Xfinity. So
look at that. See, mom and dad aren't fighting.
Speaking of winners, Rod,
let's do it.
These may shock you. I'll just go through them quickly because I think I've talked enough about them. I'm just taking the JGR camp. I mean, again, these guys are fast and their numbers don't match up to what they should be. Chandler Smith is 7-1. Eric Almirola is 14-1. Sheldon Creed is 18-1 over on Superbook. Give me all three of them. I'm covering myself with John Hunter on the winning manufacturer bet. I think that these JGR cars were the fastest, best cars last season, and you're putting good drivers in all four of them. And in this case, all three of these are very good drivers. Chandler Smith dominated this race in a Kaulig car last year. I can't stress to you how much these JGR cars are better than the Kaulig cars. And then he backed it up with a great finish here in the fall, so it wasn't a fluke. And then for Eric Almirola, he's Eric Almirola. He's a longtime Cup Series driver. He's just out there to have fun. He is literally doing nothing but going out there just to race and have fun. He doesn't have to worry about points. He doesn't have to worry about anything else. He's just trying to get wins. 14-1 for that in this type of car. When guys like Ryan Truex won last year, Trevor Bayne was second multiple times in this car. It doesn't make any sense. And Sheldon Creed 18-1. What the fuck are we doing? The guy almost won 304 races last season. I think he finished second place 304 times in the Xfinity Series last year. Like, he was second place every week. He got really close to getting it done. 18-1 is just ridiculous when he's getting in such a better car. It blows my mind. So love all three of these guys. Obviously, all in on JGR this week, all in on the Toyota camp. I just think that they are going to be the fastest cars like they were last season. It's like the books just completely forgot about last season, and great if they did. Awesome. We're getting great numbers. So I love it. Give me all three JGR guys here. Smith, Almirola, Creed at 7, 14, and 18-1.
Not to fact check, but I will say that Sheldon Creed 5 second place finishes last season. Just for the record.
I mean, dude, he's gotten so close to winning, and we kept saying it last year, like he's so due. Yeah. And is some of that him? Absolutely. You have to put it on him because look, Austin Hill won 5 or 6 races last year and in similar equipment. And I think Austin Hill is still a little bit of a different level of driver, but now you're putting him in such a good car. I mean, he is in, the same car that Ty Gibbs won a bunch of races with 2 seasons ago, and that John Hunter won all these races with last season. And we've seen these guys just be good. And now you're putting in, this isn't tossing Harrison Burton or Brandon Jones in these cars where they're good drivers and they'll show up for you here and there, but these are really good drivers. All three of these guys are really, really good drivers. The numbers just don't match up to the talent level and the cars that they're in. So just going all in on JGR this week. We're in Vegas, Rod. Put all the chips in on the Toyotas.
Toss those damn chips in. I love it. All right. Well, so I'm going to go back to one of the drivers that I talked about in that 50+ range. And I'm going to go with Riley Herbst. I mean, listen, he is the last person to have won in the Xfinity Series on this track. So there is kind of that chalkiness. But the reason I'm picking him, he's 8-1 on a lot of these books. So go shopping and have some fun, because you'll find him as low as 7-1. I found him, but he's 8-1. And again, the guy that won last year, not getting any kind of respect when you got John Hunter Nemechek in the field that has yet to win a race as the plus 320 some odd favorite. I mean, that's pretty disrespectful. Riley Herbst, like I said, at 8-1 is such a good started 103 laps on this track in the fall. Started 8th and finished 1st, and then in the spring he finished, or started 10th rather, and finished 8th. Those are his two best finishes on this track so far. But again, we've seen Riley Herbst just sort of mature, especially last season in general, right? We saw him really come into his own. We were betting on him a lot. Now he's a Cup Series regular. He's getting that opportunity to do that now. So, I mean, that just goes to show you how well he did last season. He had that win in Vegas, 10 top 5s, 17 top 10s in 33 races. So we know Riley Herbst can get it done, especially over the last back of the half of the season. Didn't matter what kind of track you threw at him. He was finishing inside of the top 5. 4th place at the Roval, 1st at Vegas, 2nd at Homestead, 4th at Martinsville, 4th at Phoenix, right? He hasn't forgotten how to drive. He's still in that 98. He's still able to do the things that he's able to do. And it's given that hometown bump, right? Riley Herbst is from Vegas. I know it doesn't do very well for Kyle Busch when he's in the Cup car. Kyle Busch only has one. For as much as we hype that this is Kyle Busch's track, he's only got one win on his home.
Not in the Truck Series. That's where he's got all his wins.
That's true too. But Herbst only has the one win too in the Xfinity Series in that as well. But yeah, I feel comfortable giving him the win, especially at 8-1. I really do feel like, again, a lot of people are counting him out because he's not the flashy name. He's not John Hunter Nemechek. He's not Justin Allgaier. He's not Cole Custer. He's not Austin Hill. He's Riley Herbst. And the broadcasters talk about him all the time, but that's it. It seems to be that everybody else kind of forgets about him after the broadcast is over. So we don't, Riley. We love you. 8-1. I want to take a stab at you, and then I want to double down on that car number 50+ at plus 420 and walk away with 2 winning tickets from the weekend.
Yeah, I like it. I love Riley Herbst this weekend. Another guy, I had him circled before we got the odds, I was hoping they were sleeping. Comes out at 8-1, and it just I still like the number, but when I saw the Toyotas at the big numbers they were, I couldn't help it. I had to take them. So I'm really glad you put Riley on here because I think he's going to be a contender. We're going to be talking about Riley Herbst a lot this year. I mean, he was one of our auto top 5 bets last year that was just crushing it for us week in and week out. So glad to see him on here. I think he's definitely going to be in competition to win this race like he did in the fall with that home crowd bump. So I think he'll definitely be up there at the end. So I like it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I didn't know I was going to be high on Riley Herbst until I was digging into the research, and I was like, here we are.
You got high on Riley Herbst.
Got high on Riley Herbst. I've done that before. All right, that is our betting card. So you know what time it is. Get out your pen and paper and start writing these down as we recap them. And for those of you on the YouTube, we have the flashy graphic for you, as we always do. Again, another commercial for you to get into the YouTube channel and find that bookmark. If you've already listened to the show and you just want to see the graphic, that's fine too. Go ahead and play the video through. There's a bookmark on there and you can find it and go right to it. So Cody started you out with Sheldon Creed over AJ Allmendinger at plus 120. I tossed in Allmendinger as a top 3 car. So Creed's got his work cut out for him at plus 350. Cody followed you up with Brandon Jones as a top 5 car at plus 275 and tossed in Corey Heim to be a top 5 car at plus 750. Then I tossed in John Hunter Nemechek as a top 3 car at minus 120. Cody gave you Chandler Smith as a top 3 car at plus 275. I said Jesse Love would be a top 5 car at plus 225. Cody gave you Eric Almirola over Sammy Smith at minus 120, and then Eric Almirola over AJ Allmendinger at minus 110. I said Justin Allgaier would finish better than Cole Custer at minus 115. Cody said that the winning manufacturer would be a Toyota at plus 155, and then gave Austin Hill the top Chevy at plus 350. I tossed in that the winning car number would be 50 or more at plus 420. And then Cody said Chandler Smith would win at 7-1, tossed in Eric Almirola at 14-1, and Creed to win at 18-1. As you can see, we ran out of room for Creed, so just know that Sheldon Creed is on there as well. And then Riley Herbst at 8-1 was my pick to win the race, the Xfinity race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So there it is, Cody. That is our official betting card for the LiUNA ! At Las Vegas.
Gotta get the exclamation mark in there. Oh man, just loaded card, but so many good bets out there on the board this week. Again, you don't have to be as scared to place the bets this week with it being a non-speedway, and I think that's why we're excited. Plus, we got good options, good numbers. So I'm feeling very confident going into this weekend. I think it's going to be a great week for us. Get some practice. Man, full weekend of racing. Truck Series on Friday. Truck Series podcast was yesterday, so make sure you go back in your podcast feed, in the YouTube feed, listen to that. F1 Saturday morning. We got a show on that as well, the F1 Gambling Podcast. You can find that in your podcast feed. That show, it's this show just with F1 in the name. It's really the same thing. We're talking about F1. We don't turn on our British accents or anything, so nothing crazy for you. I think you'll enjoy it. And then the Cup Series on Sunday, obviously, and we've had that show out on Tuesday with our Cup Series picks. So go back and check that out as well. And I heard we're coming back tomorrow too. DFS/Underdog. Oh man, I was browsing through Underdog. They had I don't know. Well, the F1 ones might be gone right now, but since they had practice today, but they had F1 qualifying for I think every single F1 driver was on there. A bunch of Xfinity stuff, a bunch of truck stuff, a bunch of Cup stuff. The Underdog is full on the racing scene. So love it. I'm excited to come back tomorrow and talk DFS and talk Underdog for the Cup Series.
That is going to be fantastic. I can't wait. Max sleeping in practice, making everybody start to wonder whether he's just playing.
He's playing up the drama, I think.
Yeah, whatever. Like Max could wake up in the morning and forget that he's have to race, be 2 laps down, and still come in and win. I don't even care at this point. Anyways, yeah. So lots of fun and lots of options for us to go over for our Underdog picks, and we'll be back for that tomorrow. Man, I'm telling you, this is we are the only show right now that goes 5 days a week. So, I don't toot our horn very often, but I really do want to recognize the hard work that Cody puts into this, that you guys put into this every day, allowing us to come to you every single day with different options and different ways to present NASCAR content. And it's just so much, I can't even say it. It's just so much gratitude that I have for you guys out there for listening each and every day.
You're the one that puts in the most work. Also, bonus Underdog pick for you. Brandon Jones, better than 13.5. Hell yes. That's definitely going in my next Underdog build here.
Beautiful stuff. All right, Cody. Well then, as we let everybody go to fill out their Xfinity cards, where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, follow me on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff over there. Got a couple casino articles that came out this week for sportsgamblingpodcast.com. We've got this show, we've got the F1 show, all kinds of other stuff. I'll be on Rise NASCAR Report here about 40 minutes or so. So check that out. I'll post a link over in the Discord if you want to jump in on that. I'll be on there with Full Tank with Phil too. So that's gonna be a good time. Make sure you check it out and follow the show, man. Hit the subscribe button, click the bell. You get notified. We're doing pretty much every single episode live for the most part now. So you'll get notified. You can jump in the chat. Love all you people hanging out there in the chat, so we appreciate it. And see you again tomorrow for DFS and Underdog.
As we always do. I'm on X at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it's here. Sportsbook Review is now letting me do racing every week again. So F1 is already up. Cup will be up here in the next couple days. And then, of course, just follow me all season long on that as well. And then check out the back road tonight. Seth and Elliott holding it down for your Vegas bets and DFS as well. All right, just like Cody said, we'll be back tomorrow with some DFS and Underdog. We'll see you then. And until next time, Let's go racing and let it ride.